Hey guys, rumor has it that Nikon's going to release a new camera this week at CES. It's a full-frame 24 megapixel FX camera called the D780. Now this camera is a direct replacement for the D750, and to me it's a little too much too late. Too much money too late. This is 2020. And this would have been a good release if they would have done it a couple years ago, especially if it came out to sit right alongside the D500 and the 850. I just think in 2020, the better purchase would be the D750. Still, if you're wanting to use a DSLR, because this camera is a DSLR, nothing wrong with that. But it really reminds me of a Canon 6D Mark II being released in 2020 for $2,000 plus. When the Canon 6D Mark II came out, a great camera, but got a lot of negative reviews, not because it was a bad camera. It was because of the price and where Canon positioned that camera, at least on launch. And as that price fell, people really started to like it. It wasn't because it was a bad camera from the launch. It was just priced out of its range for what it had. So let's take a look. And before we take a look, I mentioned the 750, and that really is, if you're looking for a DSLR, a Nikon full frame DSLR in 2020, I personally would recommend going with a Nikon 750. Still is a great camera, 24 megapixel FX full frame. You're going to get unbelievable pictures. People have been using it for years. It's just a workhorse. You can pick this camera up right now on the secondary market. You're probably not going to get a US warranty, but on eBay, this is just a quick search, and it's the first thing, literally, I'll prove it to you. First thing that came up when I did a search on Nikon D750 was this camera, new in the box, for $869. Now again, you're not going to probably get a US warranty, and if you want a legit warranty, if you go over to Adorama or B&H Photo, this is B&H, less than $1,200. You can get this new in the box with a probably a cheap piece of junk camera bag and an Extreme Pro, which is a good card. $25 card, I believe, is what it goes for. So sub $2,000, you're going to get a workhorse portrait and wedding camera that's just going to take unbelievable pictures. Jumping back to this camera, the D780, which it's to replace it, and it looks like a great camera if it was released 2 years ago along the 850 and the D500, but in 2020, not so much. For the price, looks like a great camera if it was, my opinion, priced at $1,400. Let's take a look at the specs. It's got a 24 megapixel BSI improved sensor. Now, Nikon 750 is no slouch, so even if you're going to get some improvements, it's going to be very minimal. There's nothing wrong. I mean, the 750's got great high dynamic range, unbelievable image quality. So this may be an improvement, but a very small improvement is just my opinion and what we'll see. Articulating LCD tilting touchscreen. Now, this is a nice improvement. Again, it reminds me of the Canon 6D Mark II. You're bringing an old camera into the modern world, so I like to see that. Improved sensor. I don't think we'll see a huge improvement on the sensor, to be honest with you. I think we're at that point of diminishing return on all cameras, just not Nikon. Improved FPS RAW shooting. Now you're going to pick up some performance on RAW shooting. I think most of this is because of the improved sensor, which we'll get to in a minute. Not sensor, I'm sorry. Processor, but also the new card slots. It's got the UHS-2 card slot. So I think that's where you're going to pick up the FPS, is just because it can dump the buffer and write faster. Increased video. Again, it reminds me of the D6D Mark II. You're getting some of the video qualities of the Z6, and you're going to get a bump there. Same thing with autofocus. You're going to get a bump in video autofocus, much like the Z6, but you're not going to really see much of a autofocus improvement on the photography, the DSLR portion of it. It should be very similar, with the exception of one-stop improvement of low light autofocus, where you can pick up your subjects one stop lower, low light. But again, 750 is no slouch. It's a great camera. It doesn't have a problem with autofocus. So you're just making good a little teeny better, but to me, not worth an upgrade. So no built-in flash. I don't think anybody cares about having a built-in flash. Wi-Fi, built-in Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, which is completely useless in my opinion. Higher ISO. The D850 has crazy high ISO. How much are you going to use? There's ISO and there's usable ISO. And the D750 has all the usable ISO that you could possibly want. So it's one of those where, yeah, it's not really a selling feature for me. It wouldn't be for me. I already mentioned the card slots are getting a nice bump in performance, but if you're shooting wedding and portrait photography, this only comes into play if you're doing some fast shooting, and if you're doing single shots or small burst, it's not going to be a problem with the 750. The autofocus points, I already touched on this. So you're going to get a bump in your autofocus using like a live mode, which I know that's what Canon calls it, the live mode. So if you're using the back of the screen like a DSLR, you're going to get an improved autofocus points, but not if you're looking through the mirror. If you're doing regular traditional DSLR photos. The interface, like the Z series, again, not really a big improvement. Smaller and lighter body than the D750. I don't think that's an improvement, because when you're shooting portraits, a bigger body is sometimes to your advantage. Same batteries, which is nice to see, the D850, 750, Z6, Z7s. So it looks like they're keeping that same battery, which is great. The expectation is that it'll come out this week at the CES on January 7th. And then the price, $2,000 to $2,200. This is my big gripe on this camera. I think it's a great camera overall if you like DSLRs, just not for this price. I think this camera should be priced around $1,300. That would be my gut, maybe $1,400, and then bring it down if the market demands. A couple things to note is that this camera also won't have contact points if you want to use a active battery grip, where you have the buttons on the battery grip. They won't have the contact. So most likely this camera won't have a battery grip where you can actually hit the shutter button. If they do have one, it'll be a dummy one just for the battery life. So you're actually losing a couple things with this 780 over the 750. So the Nikon 780 doesn't have a new autofocus module. So this is basically saying that same autofocus module, you'll see a little bit better focus and lower light. And then the no built-in flash, but nobody cares about the built-in flash. And that's it, guys. I'd love to hear what you think about it. Again, I think it's a good camera. I don't want to, piss on Nikon or anything. I just think the price is just too high for 2020, a DSLR. If you can get a 750 for $869, how could you sell this camera for $2,200 or even $2,000 if it's the low end of this rumor? Just out of reality. They need to really kind of rethink, and if they're going to put this for $2,000, you have some stiff ass competition out there, especially when Sony's going to really soon drop the Sony A7 IV. This doesn't even compete with the A7 III in my opinion, and that camera can be had for like $1,700-$1,800. So I'd love to hear what you guys think about it. Are you a Nikon shooter? Are you excited about this? Or if you're looking for Nikon, personally, I recommend that you pick up a D750 on eBay. Even if you have problems with it for that price, you can throw it away and buy another one. So there's my take on it, guys. I'd love to hear what you think in the comments. Please leave them below. And thanks for watching. Take care. Bye.